So, I'd like to give you one of the most valuable rules that I use to run my entire life. And this rule can improve your training more than just about anything else that you can do if you use it in the right way. And I call it the 80% easy rule. So, not only, and I'll mention this off the bat, it not only can improve your training and especially your long term results from the training that you're doing, it can actually be applied to every single aspect of your life. And I actually learned this in 2016 in Maui. So, in 2016, I moved to Maui and kind of stumbled upon this really strange opportunity to work with a group of Taoist practitioners. And Taoism, contrary to some people's belief, is absolutely not a religion. It's a school of philosophy and mental and physical performance. Okay, so this is basically a lineage that has been passed down from ancient China. It was said to originate from Lao Tzu, and has been passed down to warriors and samurais and meditators as a system of improving their mental, physical, emotional, and even spiritual performance. And so I had, and this actually, come to think of it, is really the place where I would even say deep game originated. When I first really got the advanced training in mental and physical performance was back then. So I'm in Maui, I'm training with this group of Taoist practitioners, and the leader of this group is this, I believe he was in his 70s at the time, is a legitimate, genuine master level practitioner in Taoism. And when I say master, he's like a real living master, 50 years of like hours per day in practice and teaching people all over the world. Really an incredible man. And we were doing this one very particular practice, and it was very, very difficult. It drove me crazy how difficult it was. And essentially, it was a standing meditation. We would stand in meditation rather than sitting, and we would hold this very specific posture that was very hard to hold. It was, and your legs were bent, so it was almost like doing a quarter wall sit for a really extended period of time and channeling energy from the top of our body down through into the floor, and doing a whole bunch of other wacky stuff that was very, very difficult to do, especially for me because I'd never done it before. And I was struggling just to do it for like 10 minutes. My legs would be aching. My whole body was shaking. It was so, so hard. And I remember one day the teacher, the master, said that he used to do this for 6 hours a day. At the time, I was like, what? Like, how is that even humanly possible? And yet he was doing it as, I believe, a 19-year-old. He was like, this is pretty wild, but he was doing like cage fighting in Japan for money when he was 19, like way, way, way back in the day, and beating, like, he would beat up groups of fighters. They would put 3 people against him and he'd leave them all on the floor. And at the time, he was doing this standing posture for 6 hours a day. And that was so hard for me to believe. And yet the way that he said he worked up to it is he started at 20 minutes a day and he added 1 minute per day. That's it. 1 minute per day. He didn't start at 6 hours. He didn't even start at an hour or half an hour. He started at 20 minutes and added 1 minute per day. And over a long period of time, he worked up to 6 hours. Actually, it wasn't even that long of a period of time. Like, you could do the math on that. I'm not going to do it right now, but let's say it's like a year or something like that. Maybe somebody else can do the math. It's let's say it's a year. Over 1 year, he went from 20 minutes to 6 hours. 6 hours is like superhuman level for holding this really challenging posture. And the reason he did that, it's kind of like, we've all heard the analogy before of when, if you like put a frog in a pot on the stove and just slowly turn up the heat, the frog won't realize that it's boiling until it's too late. And that's kind of a brutal analogy, actually. I'm not a huge fan of it, but you get the point, right? If you slowly increase the intensity, you almost won't feel it in your body. It like, all of a sudden you'll be doing this really big and impressive volume of work without really needing to struggle for it. Now, I later went on to do this, and I went home and I started at 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes was quite challenging, and so for 20 minutes a day for about a week, I just allowed that 20 minutes to become easy. And then on the second week, I added 1 minute a day. And that was it. And I think it took me maybe 2 months or something like that. But over time, I just added a minute or two a day. And I ended up standing in that posture for 90 minutes at a time at my peak. Now, this was unheard of for me. I was like, I couldn't even believe that I was doing it. My body felt so strong and so integrated and so like all of one piece. All of the injuries that I had like melted away. My body felt open and powerful. And I never could have got there if I started at 90 minutes. Now, I see so many players, and this, again, like I would have done this when I was in high school. You never could have convinced me otherwise. So, if you're doing this right now, my heart goes out to you. Like I was the exact same way, I promise you. But so many players try to do everything all at once. We say, I think I need to be practicing for 6 hours a day. And so we just create this incredibly difficult schedule for ourselves and pack our time in. Excuse me. We pack our schedule full of all of this training that we think we need to be doing. And it inevitably, of course, collapses. It's like if I had tried standing for 90 minutes a day right off the bat, like I never could have get there. I would have collapsed, and then I wouldn't have been able to stand again for like a week. And all too often we set these impossible schedules up for ourselves and try to take on these impossible challenges that are very, very challenging. And in the end, they don't work out. And so the rule that I use now, and again, I will tell you up front, you never could have convinced me of this when I was in high school. I would just be like, just give me the 6 hour a day training schedule and that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully I'm a little bit wiser these days. And the older I get, the more I see this rule to be true. And now it's like, I won't break the rule. I just won't. Like I've just seen over and over and over how valuable it is to follow it. And so I call this the 80% easy rule. And it's super simple. All it means is that in my life, everything that I do must be 80% easy. 80% easy. When I'm filming these videos, when I'm creating, when I'm working, when I'm doing meditation practice or a workout or anything, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, that's actually one of the most valuable applications of it that I've found. It has to be 80% easy, or for the most part, I just won't do it. Okay. Or I'll make it 80% easy. That means that as I'm doing it, it needs to literally feel 80% easy, 80% effortless, like it just flows out of me. That last 20% is actually just as valuable because that's where the challenge and the grind happens. It's like if you're in the gym and you're lifting a good amount of weight, the first, let's say you're doing 10 reps, the first 8 reps are going to be relatively easy, right? Like you can lift it. The last 2 reps are going to be a bit more of a grind. Now, if you go on to rep 11 and you can't lift that weight, you might get hurt, you might pull a muscle, you might do any which number of things, but it's probably smartest to end at rep number 10. So that last 2 reps, you don't want to go over, but that last 2 reps can be a little bit of a grind. Okay. And that's where growth occurs. Growth actually occurs in the easy part too, but that last 20% of challenge and difficulty and just a little bit on the top is where a lot of that growth will actually occur. If you go past 20% difficulty, growth essentially, in my experience, will stop. It's like if I had tried to add 5 minutes per day rather than 1 minute per day, I would have never worked up to 90 minutes. It would have happened way too quickly. Excuse me. I would have just increased the volume and intensity way too fast. As another example, it's 2021 now. So back in 2020, I decided that I was going to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning. And excuse me, I had been waking up at 5:30 in the morning for quite a while. And I just decided that I was going to get up at 4 a.m. and practice every day. And by the way, as a side note, like in spiritual practice, 4 to 6 a.m. is kind of like a holy hour. It's a very potent time to practice. So I said, okay, I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. I start waking up at 4 a.m. A couple days go by. It feels pretty good. Maybe around the 4th or 5th day, I was a walking zombie. I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I'd have a cold shower and I'd warm up and I'd do my meditation for however long it was, 60, 90 minutes. And I felt good up until about 9. And then 9 o'clock rolled around and all of my work completely stalled out. I couldn't focus on anything. I was so tired. It was just too much for my body to handle all at once. So I went back to the old trick, right? I made it 80% easy. And at the beginning, I just said, okay, well, I'm waking up at 5:30. Let me try 5:25 and then 5:20 and then 5:15 and then maybe 5 a.m. And then very slowly and easily, I started to just slowly work towards 4 a.m. until it was easy. It was easy to wake up at that time, and I was going to bed earlier, and it just all smoothed itself out. So much, it's a much wiser approach to make things as easy as they can be, up to about 80%. Add that little 20% on the top, okay? That the last 2 grinding reps are good to do, but don't do that that third grinding rep, okay? Put the weights down. Make it 80% easy in everything that you're doing. So many people, we're told all the time, get outside of your comfort zone. Really, a much wiser approach is to stay inside your comfort zone and slowly expand it. Just like if you slowly blow air into a balloon, it can expand really large, actually, if you just do a little bit at a time, That balloon is going to get real big over time. If you just blasted it with a whole bunch of air, it would pop. Okay, so take the same approach with your training, with the things that you choose to do in your life. Like I said before, one of the best examples of this that I've found is in relationships. And so relationships, regardless of how great they may be in certain ways, if they're more than if they're not 80% easy, let's say you're fighting more than you should be, or there's conflict too often, or whatever. As much as you love that person, if it's not 80% smooth and effortless and easy, it's not going to work out. I promise you, it's never going to work out. But that last little 20% of maybe there's a little bit of a clash of opinion, or even arguing and fighting and conflict, there's a lot of growth in that. Relationships where you never ever fight, there's not going to be as much internal growth. The point of a relationship, as far as I see it, is for internal growth. And there should be some amount of conflict where your opinions do differ and you have more to learn from each other through those conflicts. But if there's never any conflict, it's not challenging enough. If it's 100% easy, you're going to get bored, and there's not going to be enough growth to sustain it. If it's let's say 50% difficult and 50% easy, it's way too much. And you'd be better off being with somebody that's in that 80% easy range. And so anyhow, you can apply this to literally anything. It's like if you're in, your freshman year of biology class or something, to use an analogy. If you're in freshman biology right now, you're taking, again, freshman biology courses, you can probably handle that. If you jumped to senior level biology or college biology, no way, right? And yet that's what we try to do with our training. We say, I'm training here and there right now. I'm not training consistently. Well, Kobe trained for 6 hours a day. So let me just forget about all of this inconsistency. I'm going to do 6 hours a day right now. No, it's never, ever going to work. Make it 80% easy in everything that you do. And I promise you, everything will be so much smoother and so much more effortless. And I'll leave you with a really powerful thought that it came through when I was journaling the other day. And it was, I'll see if I can remember exactly how I put it, but it was something to the tune of, if you do it with patience, it will happen quickly. If you rush it, it won't happen at all. Okay? If you do it with patience, it will happen quickly. And if you rush it, it won't happen at all. So keep that in mind. I hope this helped you, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, it's Coach Taylor. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. And if you did, the best thing to do right now, while it's fresh in your mind, is go to deepgame.com or click the link in the description, and it'll take you to our free Deep Game Masterclass, where you'll actually learn the entire deep game of basketball with all 8 laws and all of the fundamentals that you need to know as a high-level basketball player. We've had players call this the best hour of basketball learning of their lives, and it's completely free. So go to deepgame.com right now, or just click the link in the description, and I can't wait to see you there.